by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we
You can
sell.
wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. So, today is Thursday, the 20th of June. And let's do some daily levels. So, Bitcoin moved up nicely, breaking out from that. The first attempt it's having to start an early uptrend, let's put it that way. But it is still just trapped in this choppy phase here. Grabbed a bunch of stops up this level, back inside. So we're not in strong uptrend territory yet, but I do think the downtrend has stopped for now. The downtrend is over for the time being. And you want to see, where is my, let me actually just pull up a different chart here. Get my other chart up. Here we go. Take all that off. Look at the bands. So it's above the 4-hour bands. Needs to consolidate and hold for the bands to cross for us to then be able to have a continuation higher towards the monthly open. So for me, I'll be looking at that monthly open level, which is 67.5. And a couple of paths that were drawn out yesterday. As you can see, price to come down, consolidate, push higher. So it's done that. It's broken the downtrend on the lower time frames. The 1-hour bands were red, then green, then red, then green. As long as it continues to consolidate above here, I think it's fine. Ethereum is leading, but obviously whenever people take their attention away from Bitcoin, that can be a worrying sign. So we have Bitcoin lagging, but if ever it's going to happen, right now makes sense, because Ethereum itself is obviously all the rage with the ETFs coming. And I think Ethereum will go and test its own monthly open. That might be the high, that might be the top of a latest push. On lower time frames, it's trying to reclaim that pivot, 3580, which I think is a good starting point for Ethereum to move up. I think a bottom is in formation. I wouldn't necessarily say it's formed yet. I do think with this consolidation above the bands and above the pivot that Ethereum's more likely to make a move up into that level. And if from there it rejects, I'll be looking at coming back down to form a proper bottom down there. I do think when I look at this formation here that there's probably a retest on that side to come that we're waiting on. I think that will probably come at some point. So we'll be mindful if Ethereum keeps pushing higher to watch out for that at a later point. ETFs are probably going to be coming in July. So we'll see how it goes. There might be enough demand to keep ETH just moving up higher and higher towards 4K as the ETFs draw nearer. Depends on the overall market. Bitcoin itself will have to remain in its own bullish trend, or not really bullish trend, but when you look at BTC and you zoom out, I go to a daily. Bitcoin is in the very early process, very early stages of trying to form a potential bottom. Still a lot to do. It's still in a downtrend structure. So if you look at this, it's like a downtrend channel, lower highs and lower lows. That needs to shift, which requires Bitcoin to go sideways for an extended period or up. Either of them will do. It just needs to stop this straight downwards movement, because quite often what that can lead to is a final capitulation leg. When price just grinds down like that with relatively weak bounces, it's generally not something that you want to see, as you see these sort of choppy grinding lower, finishes with a bigger flush. And, every time is different. This time's not going to look the exact same as previous times. But that 64, 65 is certainly the first area where I would expect to see a bottom. And I don't think it needs to lose that to go to 62. That can happen, but I would be fully expecting a bottom to form here as it's currently standing. I think that most of the negative outcomes are priced in. Mostly the data is solid. Mostly like we look at ETH, it's got a spot premium. So ETH is a spot premium, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks before the ETF goes live. Funding has been below neutral for several days now. Price is trying to double bottom and hold, and Bitcoin the same. Now, funding rates are skewed slightly to the downside, so you don't really want to look at funding by itself, but the premium is clear. It's a clear spot premium on BTC, on ETH, and work to do to break these downtrends, but I think that upside movement is more likely. Maybe even just for a couple of weeks, we might have a rally into quarterly close and then going into the start of Q3. It's not to say the downside is totally finished. There's always potential for that, but I think you need to see the first rally, right? You need to see the next rally to really gauge that. Because from here, I don't think it's going to go for a big collapse from this level. I think that what it will do is rally up. And if people get themselves too long, you could see a collapse from there. So you could see Bitcoin move up strongly, people get themselves overexposed, and that actually gives it the impulse to break down to new lows. It's like what you see, even like here. You have a strong rally, people will get themselves too long, too quick. It gives the fuel for price to break to new lows. So I saw this on Twitter, which makes complete sense. I talked about this since March, pretty much, since March or April, that meme coins had peaked in terms of attention as a whole. It was quite obvious, once everyone stopped shitting on memes and started saying that memes were the greatest thing ever. We saw whiff, top out, we saw just everything, right? Dogecoin had its little pump. The only one that kind of bucked the trend was Pepe, where it had a second wave. But in general, this chart from the guy who runs CryptoQuant, meme coin dominance in major altcoin markets. So it's a ratio, I guess, of meme coins to other alts. And you can see after the little spike up it had, it's bleeding down. Last time this happened was in late 2022. But that's not in a bull market, so I wouldn't one-to-one overlay that. But what does matter is this. The dominance of meme coins, the speed they move at, this will carry true for the future as well. Meme coins go all at once. Meaning they're going to move fast, and they're going to move in a few weeks, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. There's no slow and steady accumulation. There's no blue chip meme coin. None of that shit exists. It's a quick in attention game. So if you're on the other side of that and you're still holding meme coins and you think that they're still going to go up, this chart should tell you that, first of all, memes are getting wrecked relative, and they should be, because it's just like NFTs in 2021. People get themselves overexposed into this new thing thinking it's the greatest thing ever, same as DeFi. And most of these meme coins are dead and won't make new highs. Many, 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 many of them that launched in the past. And new stuff might come along. Some of the biggest ones might do well again. But you have to be realistic here and say that meme coins had an explosion, and there's no guarantee that they'll have the same thing again. If you looked at a DeFi chart from late 2020, you'd have seen this too. Aave and Compound and Synthetics and Uniswap and all these DeFi coins exploded September and then again in January, and then that was it. Then they bleed against Ethereum, against other alts. They bled the rest of 2021. If you were in any DeFi coin from February 2021 onwards, you severely underperformed the market for the last 10 months of bull. So, a couple of things about this. One, I've tracked this guy a lot in the past. I remember in last cycle, I haven't really kept a close eye on him. His calls are generally terrible. His actual direction calls. CryptoQuant's great. The just the raw data and the amount of access to different charts, fine. But when he posts about stuff, CT we shift from gambling, the focus fundamentals, seen a few years ago, pack it up lads, it's over. So he's basically saying like memes are done, forget about memes. So I don't disagree on the whole, but I also know that whenever people pull out these kind of charts, like people are pulling out remember people pulling out like the ETH BTC chart when it just kept going lower and shitting on it? Or people pulling out like a Sol ETH chart now because Sol's getting crushed against ETH. or people pulling out any coin, whatever coin they were bearish on, they always wait until it's had these big red days. Looks like it's going to zero. And they say, ha, I told you so. So often that's a bottom because it's a sign of sentiment. And you have to think about people, right? People want to be right. So he only posts this now on Twitter because he feels comfortable to. Why didn't he post this chart at the double peak and say, oh, meme coins have topped? Because it wasn't sure back then. Now he's sure. But that's not the time to then turn around and say, oh, let's get super bearish meme coins forever. However, another little bit of sentiment, the comments. So, a bunch of cope. Not all meme coins are built the same. What does that sound like? This time is different. Except this isn't comparable to November 2022. It's early 2021. I bet this hits 0.15 cope. Memes are leverage plays on the parent chain. Most meme coins will fail. Few will make it. My bags. Hashtag my bags. It's like, yeah, most meme coins will fail, but don't worry, Whiff and Popcat will make it. This is the exact, it's just history repeating. It's the same cope over and over and over again. Every fucking cycle. 2021. Most DeFi projects are shit, but a few will make it. The blue chips, Aave, nope. That's what people were saying. The blue chip DeFi will make it. Nope. Most NFTs are worthless, but my NFT, nope. All NFTs were worthless. They all went down 90%. Most of them went down 99%. It's the fucking same thing. If you think your bags are just going to magically survive, I mean, good luck. So where does this leave the state of meme coins? I don't know. I'm pretty bearish overall currently on them. I just don't see much life. But I also don't track like all these new launches constantly. The difference and the thing with the meme coin casino is if you're just looking at Deck Screener and what's pumping, it seems like memes are still alive because every day there's another 5 million market cap shitter that's going to 20 million. Oh, look, it's still pumping. But that's not like the sector. Whiff's bleeding bad. Pepe's had its run and seems to be cooling off at best. Maybe topped. Don't know. And I just don't think that people are prepared for the time aspect. If gun to my head, I think Pepe goes higher. Gun to my head, I think Whiff goes higher. Like this bull market. But it's not like they can't bleed significantly before that. And I think we're getting closer to the point where, or we're already at the point, where I think it's going to be an ETH dominated market, which probably helps Pepe because it's a ETH beta. And some people are talking about, there's going to be a rotation back to fundamental projects led by ETH. I think that's VC cope. So on one hand, you've got, here's my reading on it. You've got retail coping about meme coins. And it's all meme coins, including Bowden, which I'm trading, including fucking Apu, it doesn't matter. Don't expect yours to be excluded from it. It doesn't mean that they can't go up. It doesn't mean they can't have short-term moves. And it doesn't even mean that I'm right. But most of them at the moment are overly retail filled. There's too many just retail bag holders holding them. And I think the most logical path is underperformance for a while as a sector, while Bitcoin and Ethereum go to new highs. And by the way, Bitcoin and Ethereum need to go to new highs, significant new highs, for all coins in general, including meme coins, to then have another leg up. So I think that if you look at it here, like, I don't know, with just Whiff or something, if you're looking at what's the most likely path from here, you've got a couple of things. Like BTC, if we're looking at just the leader, Bitcoin versus Whiff, and how I would expect them to move. If Bitcoin's going to have its big move, it's going to happen first. And so let's just imagine Bitcoin does this and then breaks out going into August or September, and then has a proper breakout and goes towards 100k. The path for meme coins in that instance would be like failed rally up to here, drops back, maybe even goes lower into here, and they fully diverge at the beginning and then start to rise up, right? And if I get this over here, that would be how they would move. It's the first part that I would see where the meme coin actually gets weaker as Bitcoin gets stronger, or ETH or Solana, whichever major you're looking at. So, and I think something like this is possibly quite likely. And this is the point where if you're talking to me about the next 2 or 3 months, I think memes probably remain dead, probably as a whole remain weak. But of course that can all change. They exploded out of nowhere in March, and nothing's impossible, could happen again. But I look at it and say meme coins really blew up from from 1st of March, really was the 1st of March, until the 31st of March. So for WIF, exactly 1 month, right? That was all the move. Now fast forward April, May, and we're into June. It's going on for almost 3 months of sideways since then. I think that the best expectation is not that meme coins will trend higher like this. It's that they'll just have had that explosion, they'll bleed, and they'll have another explosion. Probably another 2, 3, 4 weeks towards the end of the bull, or towards the end of the year, whatever, I don't know. Rather than being a good investment. Because the nature of a meme coin holder is quite a short-term thing. They want to get rich, and they want to get rich now. So whenever they're in late and they miss it and they buy way from near the top and then they have to bleed for 6 months, they're going to capitulate. And until memes start moving different, that's just what I'm going to expect. Because Pepe did that. That was Pepe's whole thing. Pepe has been a very typical meme coin. Massive explosion for 8 days. Bleed to absolute death for 295 days, 296 days, then explode again for 17 days, bleed and shake people out for about 2 months, and then a last little pop for 7 days. Like, I would just look at this and say, well, most logical path for Pepe, rallies up to trap people, bleeds down, volatility compresses, and then fucking absolute roof at a later point, right? And that's, if it's going to move like that. And this is not a price prediction, of course. It's just saying that's how memes tend to move. And you tend to go on this euthanasia roller coaster first, or it's just lower high bounces and bounces and bounces. Or it actually does it by going lower, and then it explodes. And you're just trying to identify roughly where the tides are shifting. Like, Bowden's been on this roller coaster of death, and it could still be on it. Probably is still on it. You can never know anything for sure. If I hide the drawings here, go to the daily, right? It's that kind of bleed, and then all of a sudden back to life and a pump up again. But I would expect the next pump to form a lower high before it goes down, and another lower high, lower. Like, always expect this to be the first path. It's not always going to be, but I would always expect that once something's had a big run and comes down, that this is quite likely. If it's going to buck the trend, it'll buck the trend. But first of all, don't forget that many of them are attention based, and they peak with attention early, and the second time they go back up, the attention is generally not as high. And there's so many meme coins that then you have to factor in the rotation of capital as people chase into new ones and all this kind of stuff. So I also wanted to find this fucking chart. I was like, oh fuck, that's a really useful chart. I guess I should have I should sign up to CryptoCont again, because I had done it before in the past. It's good for like exchange flows and some of those things. Fuck it, I'll sign up again. Signed up. There is no fucking chart. There is no meme coin chart. So he must have created it himself. These are like community things, which is not the same. So, unfortunately, I got rugged. I don't know if this guy asked the same question. No. Is a creator from sampling meme coins, look at 1,000 create every day. So, probably one of those ones you have to build yourself, I guess. It'd be nice if he fucking said it. But I am now a signed up member of Crypto Quant GM. So, I'll play around with some of this stuff again. There are some useful charts on it, specifically for me with trading in terms of derivatives side of things, open interest, funding rates, liquidations, but in it through a different lens. Obviously, you can get all that data elsewhere, but some useful stuff there that I'll play around with. So anyway, I know this seems very bearish on meme coins, and it is, because logic, right? The meme coin space has been diluted. See Popcat since it went on, I don't know. Here, right? The meme coin space is just exploding into hype and then bleeding. And these things will just bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. And then some of them will absolutely fly when conditions are perfect again. But that kind of thing generally takes quite a long time to actually happen. And so, you can't be sitting around waiting on it forever. If you've got your plans and you're trading around it, then trade around it. The other thing, if you're trading, and this, I want to really emphasize this because my focus very much is trading, and the long-term investing side of it is behind us, in my opinion. Unless you're holding Bitcoin or ETH, then you're sweet. For me, it's a focus more on trading, as in expectations have now been set. So, look for example at Pepe. Pepe had his big blow up, all the way down, bleeds, he looked dead, then it has a pop. And you take profit on that pop. That's the same thing with Bowden. Bleeds. If there's a little pop up around the debate, you take profit on it. Right? If you're trading it. If it's WIF has a lot of negative sentiment, super negative sentiment, because it looks like this. And it's bleeding down. And whenever it has a little pop, eventually, it'll eventually bottom out and it'll pop up and everyone will get excited again, take profit, it'll come back down. And then if it's going to go, it'll go again. Like, the good thing about meme coins is that they're going to stay relevant. So anytime they rally, there'll be exit liquidity there because people will think, oh, it's meme coin season again. And they'll probably make the same mistake over and over and over again of buying and convincing themselves that it's bullish when it's not yet. And it can be, but this is always how meme coins have been. And I don't think you want to bet on meme coins changing their fundamental structure and nature, which is, look at Dogecoin, right? Had its blow up, failed rally, scam pump, or let's call it test pump, all the way back down, big pump. This is probably the future for many of these. If a meme coin's going to survive this cycle, it's probably here at the moment, somewhere. And it might be 5 months away from its massive run. I think if you study this kind of action, you'll get a much greater understanding of what could be ahead for many of these coins. It's just like DeFi summer of 2021, right? DeFi summer, everyone thought all these new DeFi coins had blown up and they were going to zero because they're all fucking scams, right? It's, oh my God, that was crazy. You're all retarded. Right? DeFi summer was like this, all the way back down. When it was down here, you're fucking idiots. It's dead. And then it wasn't dead. It absolutely exploded. And looking at just pick any meme coin, there's no reason why they won't follow that Dogecoin path because it's just the path of human emotion. And as you see it moving up and rolling over, it's more of a time thing. I don't know if WIF is going to go all the way down, all right, and then do that, and then blow up, right? Or if it's going to go just sideways from here and then blow up. What I do think is that the blowing up phase is probably months away, not days or weeks. Because it's just cause and effect. It just takes time. And there's this beautiful tendency in markets to fill in inefficiencies. And when you look at, like the Doge move, May 2017, it broke out, went up, filled the whole thing in, September 17. So what's that? June, July, August, September. 4 months later, filled that back in, consolidated, away it goes. February 2024, whiff. February 24 blows up into March. April, May, June, July. Right? How can you not end up like down there at some point? Oh no, my God, it must be dead. No, it's actually just building up for the ultimate fucking move. Why would it not do that? Does anyone have a reason why it wouldn't? Other than, oh, my bags, they can't go that low. Oh, it would be dead. You mean it would be dead? WIF would be dead. If WIF went to here. If WIF went down 88%, it would be dead. Every fucking coin that's ever existed has done that. Down 82%, 83%. Like, WIF being down only 56% is probably not a bullish thing. It just means there's so much more to go down. So, yeah, maybe this time's different. Or maybe it's not, right? And again, the whole point of this is not bearish. It's just a time frame reset. The worst time to get bearish on Doge in 2017 was anywhere here. It was right before the fucking 10x move, right? And it's because it did those last things. It's because it moved along like this. It had this little drift sideways. And oh, look, it's going up. Oh, no, it's not. And it's because it did all that it was able to have the disbelief to go crazy. You're telling me WIF can't go back to $1 and then go to $10? Just like Doge went back to 0.01 and then went to almost 0.02? So, you know, I mean, just a little bit of reality check here. And understanding that you have to play the long game. The long game's only a few months in crypto. It's not even like it's fucking ages. And then after that run, when everyone is like probably fucking bag holding Doge, what does it do? Series of just fail bounce, fail bounce, fail bounce, fail bounce, fail bounce, pop, 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 all the way until it comes back to life again. And so even just when you look at Doge right now, I mean, Doge has to do the same thing here. It probably has to go back to that old support. It's had the run up, it's come down. It probably has to get back to that level so it can reaccumulate for a big run again. And there's so many of them that are like that just seem like they're in the distribution process before the reaccumulation, that it doesn't make sense to be overly long anything with a higher time for it or anything more than a short time view. For example, Bowden has at least retraced the entire thing. So it's closer to getting towards a place for a complacency bounce or a rally. Doesn't mean it will, but it's ahead of the others in terms of its capitulation. And, you know, I think that some other things worth noting is like, I think the focus on majors is important. So BTC. And if you look at this, like this was mid-bull. And you're looking at how Dogecoin moved throughout summer of 2017. And none of this repeats. It's not going to repeat. It's meant to show you what can happen. Looking at Bitcoin then, throughout the summer of 2017. So from May, here we are. From May until July, that's where Bitcoin bottomed. See this? The cursors are lined up. Bitcoin bottomed there. Bitcoin then ripped clean new highs. Dogecoin didn't. Then Bitcoin had a second peak higher and then a flush of leverage and Dogecoin went lower. Big divergences here. These are the times that you're looking at the altcoin bottoms. When Bitcoin goes higher, right? Bitcoin literally goes to new highs and altcoins go lower. And then the altcoin forms a bottom, you know, stops going down. That's a clear sign of altcoin capitulation. It's the purest altcoin capitulation because people have to watch their alts go down as Bitcoin goes up. If you're new, this is going to happen at some point and you're going to be confused. So I'm getting ahead of it now. Don't be confused. Every new trader or new investor that comes in is always confused the first time when they see altcoins go down as Bitcoin goes up. But it's very, very common. It's smart money dumping the alts to get into Bitcoin, and it's people left bag holding alts in the wrong coin for the wrong time, and eventually they give up. They panic and sell all their Dogecoin because they have to get into Bitcoin because they're missing the big Bitcoin run. And then the reversion happens. And then Bitcoin does well, but Dogecoin smashes it out of the water. Because from the bottom of that pump, once people have capitulated, from the bottom to the top, Dogecoin goes up fucking 27x. Bitcoin doesn't, right? Bitcoin goes from, 3k to 20. Not bad. 6x, but it's not 27x. So that's it. I've ranted long enough. What's the key? What's the takeaway from this? I think majors are better positioned to do well over the near term. I think if you're in any altcoin, but specifically meme coins, the good ones will have their day. They will come back, but it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And so outside of thematic trades, like, events that are happening near term where it might be a pop if Bitcoin's bullish, everything will rally, by the way. Stuff will bounce, but the point is, probably later in the year, if not even next year, is when there's going to be enough of a reaccumulation and enough of a capitulation for some of these memes to have their next big wave. So it's patience required on the higher time frames. On the lower time frames, I think if the majors are moving, that's going to be all that's moving, outside of maybe one or two alts, and that's it. GM.